Good morning, everybody. Whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world, we are the Wednesday wrap-up. Of course, I got my guy Herb and Mr. U, and we're going to kick this thing off with the Tiki Barber action with Saquon moving to Philly. You're wearing your Giants hat, so we got to kick the show off with this. And made you a little graphic behind me here, just, to really kick this segment off.
Oh my God.
But I feel like it was interesting that Tiki came out the way he did. It seems like he wasn't watching the situation with Saquon, because I feel like the Giants had been kind of doing him dirty the last 2 years, right? Not getting him signed, just kind of kicking it down the road, giving him, basically the tag that they guaranteed, right? I mean, they tagged him and then they just guaranteed some money to try and make it not hurt so much. And then they didn't really do anything for him this year. So I feel like there is an element of him just trying to stick it to him a little bit going within the division, but he also gets to go to a better team. So, I feel like it was also a smart move, but then he gets to be like, hey, you guys messed up. And so for Tiki to come out and say, oh, you're dead to me, and all of this was, it was hilarious to me.
Well, I'm not quite sure I'm laughing in the same way you are. There's a lot of layers to this part. One, Tiki has a little bit of a history that we got to talk about. I mean, everybody, some people are saying that he's the greatest running back of all times. I'm like, okay, you got the right to your opinion, but I feel like in some ways he not only quit on our team at its most crucial time, but then he tried to verbally gut us out, after he was, while he was still on the team, and we were trying to go through those rough early Eli Manning years, So his words don't hold a whole lot of credence for me, but at the same time, the whole thing between him and Saquon, it sounded like he was tongue-in-cheek at first, but I'm not quite sure about the whole dead to us thing. I get where that's coming from, because you don't go to a rival team. It's kind of an unspoken rule. So when you do that, it kind of sends a message that you want to either stick it to us or you were never really with us in the first place. And the loyalty you said you had, you never really had. So I'm not quite sure where Saquon falls in that category, but the money that he's been offered is definitely way better than what that I think the 2 years and $23 million that we offered him that he declined to accept. So honestly, I ain't gonna cry about it, because I'm not really a favorite player follower. That's not really my style. I'm a team guy. So if you lead the team, it's like, okay, I'll watch you and I'll hope the best for you. Hope you don't tear ACL, but I ain't gonna be.
You're not riding with him. No, I got you.
I'm not really doing that kind of stuff. So I watched. So because of that, I watch games and I watch games differently than most fans do. I'm looking at what's actually happening, not what I want to happen in my imaginary dreamland that I live in. What's actually happening.
Yeah,
he's a boomer bust guy. Barkley always has been that. I got concerned about his injury history. I got concerned about how he handles the ball, especially on 10 yards, a 10-yard one play or more. The ball becomes available for people to knock it out, and it happens to him a lot.
As I recall, Tiki fumbled quite a bit too.
Oh, without question. A lot in crucial times as well. But so I mean, I think that we can survive. I'm not saying Singletary is the appropriate response, but he had about 6 yards less than what Saquon had. So we're not going to be hurting in that regard. I think he did really well and took Damian Pierce's job in Houston. So I like what we did with that, at least for starters. But you don't go to the Eagles if you are Big Blue for life. You just don't do that. It's send a message that you either don't care or you want that money real bad and you didn't care the backlash you'd have from making a move like that. But
I mean, I feel like this is more of a you guys didn't want me 2 years in a row. Cool. Here we go. And I mean, honestly,
I don't know about that. We didn't want him. I think they're trying to play the market, man. I mean,
yeah, but that's not gonna make a guy feel wanted. That's what he's saying.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
I know that, but but think about it. If it was your pocket, it's easy for us to sit here and tell a billionaire how to spend their money. But that money that the Eagles gave him.
What are you talking about? That's exactly what we do. Is we tell all these teams how to spend their money.
I know we do it, but let's not make it sound like it's can't talk in absolutes. But I would have gave him that contract, not that. I probably would. I would have done better than the 2 years, $23 million I would offer, but not that amount. I would have did that for somebody who has an injury history, who don't play 16, 17 games consistently every year. I'm not doing that. So
I do think he has a chance to be healthier this year, similar to like what CMC did, only because the line is going to be a lot better
without Kelsey. Okay,
the line's still going to be better.
It's still going to be better than what the Giants had. Period. Though. So
we're at the bottom. So anything is better.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what you arguing his point for him. So, I'll say this about the Tiki Barber situation. When I first heard the comments, I was like, right on. I don't even understand what the backlash is. So like on our show last night, when we were mentioning a certain player that transferred from us, we didn't even mention his name. I actually said I can't remember what the guy's name was. So like I had no problem with the comments. I was like, and it's not even that he went to the Eagles. Like to me, it's like if you sign somewhere, if you get traded, hey man, I got love for you. Like it obviously doesn't happen for the college situation, but NFL, if you get traded away, I'm like, okay, I still got love for you. That wouldn't on you.
Sure.
You sign as a free agent somewhere else. Yeah. I'm like, I don't remember that guy's name. Who was he? Whatever. So I had no problem with the comments. And then especially if you go to a hated rival, like I doubled down on it. So I just didn't even think it was that big a deal until all the firing back and forth. So I mean, I get Saquon's part of it, but if I'm Tiki, a Giant for life, that's you're gonna get that from me. Tune in on Tuesdays. You'll see. Dead to me. Don't remember that guy's name. Who was that again? So we rewrite history. So certain players that caught certain big passes for us, we have written them out of that that narrative. The quarterback apparently threw the ball to himself and caught it. That's how we say it now. So no problem at all with what Tiki said.
I'm really starting to wonder if people can talk to each other without drudging up everything that they've ever done in life.
Yeah. No.
Like when what Tiki said, just if I look at it in context, the whole dead to us thing, just Giants, Eagles, rivalries, long time, left it there. That would be fine. Saquon responds and says, "You always been a hater." These guys got pictures all over the internet of them hugging on each other, like a couple of boyfriends and whatnot. Talk about you always been a hater, and I never quit on my team. He going all into the bag. I'm like, man, Tiki's not.
I like
Tiki's
that.
not perfect, but that's not what he's talking about.
No, not at all.
Why you going? It kind of reminds me of Kevin Durant and some other people who can't take
Kevin Durant and everyone else. Yeah. Whatever I said something about him.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
why you talking
1000%.
That all the little deep digs. That's what keeps stuff going and going. And it's like it's not necessary.
And turns it into something it wasn't in the beginning. Like,
I mean, to be fair, it helps fuel our shows. So
I agree.
So Saquon did it for us, not for.
I don't know about that. I think he did it for his feelings, and he did it for himself.
He did it for the fans.
No, he didn't do it for no fans either. He did it for himself. He was hurt. He didn't like how it felt. The backlash he was getting, and he started attacking, getting personal.
Oh, both those guys ended up in their feels real quick.
Yeah, I think the Kevin Durant thing is spot on. I think that's how these things escalate really, really quickly. I mean, you should have just looked at that comment and went, I mean, okay, I signed and got my money, just move on. It wasn't even that big a deal. So
you're happy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Aren't you happy? You don't sound happy.
Yeah. So was he expecting Tiki to come out and go, "Hey man, we'll always love you"? Because that's not gonna happen.
No, I think he was expecting Tiki to just not talk.
Yeah. he's a comment, a media person now. I mean, you get to make comments. Like I'm sure.
And then that channel he's on with the history that they got lately.
Yeah.
No way he wasn't saying nothing.
I did like that he finished it off with, don't smile at me when you see me. It's like, okay, Here we go. We got some beef happening, which is going to be hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
On two guys who probably never act on it and nothing else ever happened. We'll have this verbal argument, and then it's not like Tigley's going to go on the field and tackle him like next time he comes around. So,
I mean, that would be hilarious.
I mean, if he lines up at linebacker in a game, yeah,
you know, like Tiki wouldn't do it. I could see someone like Steve Smith Jr. or a senior doing that though.
Oh, definitely.
Like in his suit, right? Like I could see him just rip the mic off and go flatten somebody.
Now that I could see. Yeah.
Try that with Brandon Jacobs and watch what happens.
Yeah.
It's a whole different situation. That's a whole different situation. I mean, I don't know. This is not really a thing because he's gonna go over there and maybe he'll do moderately well. He's gonna get paid well. That part is pretty much a done deal.
The thing is he's gonna be fine with the Eagles, right? Like I do think he has a chance to be healthier. Well, I think he has a chance to be healthier, right? Because it's not like they're a run first team, so he's not gonna get crazy touches. They do have a significantly better offensive line, so he's not going to be getting contact, within 1 yard, right? Like he's going to be hitting mostly second tier guys, right? Like he's going to be hitting linebackers. He might get edge rushers, occasionally, but he's not going to constantly get blown up by, middle offensive line guys. So your ability to stay healthier is much higher, right? So I do think he has an opportunity to be better than he was. But I mean, obviously we'll see. So I do have a sound bite here because I kind of agree with what Joy was saying here. So of course this is Joy Taylor from, Speak. Oh, we're not going to play that. Okay. Cool.
Live happens live.
This is an unserious conversation.
It's ridiculous.
This is an unserious conversation from the nonsense farm. He is a professional athlete, professional. That means you get paid to do something. If some company does not want to pay you, you have every right to go to a competing company. And the only answer should be, thank you so much for putting your body on the line as much as you could, for doing surgeries and rehab and listening to all the nonsense that we talk about in the media all day long about how bad you are and how much you don't contribute to winning, even though we haven't won the division in 11 years, but somehow it's Saquon Barkley's fault. And when he has an opportunity as a young man that he's worked for to go play for another team, he's betrayed you. This is an unserious conversation. Please stop mixing these emotional feelings with professionalism. And here's what really bothers me about it. This is really what bothers me about it. Sorry, I have to say it. I'm sorry.
The other stuff.
So this is what bothers me.
Because it's presented as this is an indictment on Saquon's character.
Yeah.
That is what bothers me. Saquon is a professional, gives back to the community. He's a great representation for the NFL. He's been the face of your organization for the entirety of the time that he's been there. And now because you don't want to keep him there and he goes to your competitor, now all of a sudden you can slander his character? That is what bothers me about it. There is nothing wrong with what Saquon did. He did exactly what he was supposed to do, and he should do it 10 times out of 10. As James said, he should have done it yesterday. And it's not an indictment of the Giants. It's not an indictment of the Eagles. And it is certainly not an indictment on Saquon's character that he is going to give his services to another team that wants to pay him to do
it. And that I agree with. I get the fandom end of it, that you're mad he went to a competitor, but if you didn't want him to go to a competitor, pay the man.
And the NFL, maybe more than any of the other sports, doesn't really get loyalty because they want the players to play right up until the point they don't want them, and then you're just axed. And there is no hey, we wanted him to be a Giant for life, an Eagle for life. It's just kind of we like you till we don't like you, more than any other sport. So I don't know why they sometimes expect the players to be super loyal to the organizations when the organizations aren't loyal to anything but themselves.
Yeah, I mean, they move on immediately.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what we're talking about. Not us here, but I mean, based on the clip and everything, who are we talking about here? Because I don't think the Giants, I mean, they're doing business. And
no, they're talking about Giants fans, why they're sew up in arms about it.
You know that they're going to do that.
No, of course.
Especially Giants fans. They're gonna say, "Oh, you left us and you sold out." Okay. If he went to the Texans, I know I can go and point out some guys on Twitter. I can tag you guys in the posts, and they'll be one of them guys be like, "Oh, you should have kept the deal. Should stay with Giants for life." They still be complaining about that, whether he went to the Eagles or not. It just makes it worse that he went to the Eagles because they're a division rival. You got to see twice a year.
Right.
You got to see him in a different jersey. It ain't gonna feel right. Probably got the same number. Probably.
Yep.
It's gonna feel weird. They're gonna be talking about it regardless. The character part, I'm not seeing where that even falls in line with this or what Tiki said. I don't see that. I don't see where that is.
Well, I think it's because there's been an escalation beyond that within the fan base. So it because people get on their soapbox and start banging keys on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm so powerful. Listen to me. I got a voice. I mean, look, it's not that big of a thing. I don't. It's going to feel weird to see him on the other side and seeing Brian Burns lay him out. That's what's going to happen. But I mean, it's going to be weird to see that over there. So aside from that, I don't want no harm to him. I don't want his career to be cut short. I don't want nothing like that people are saying they want bad for him. I don't want none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying I see what I see. I saw somebody who I felt I was concerned about a long-term deal because of the injuries. I saw that since Penn State. If you want to be real about it, if you want to go back farther than that, I've seen it even then. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, I don't like how he handles the ball. That's not going to change in Philly. I don't think unless it's coached up. But I think it's a problem. Aside from that, he's a boom or bust player, and when he's open, he's hitting. It's a beautiful thing to see.
Mm-hmm.
When he's running in the walls, it's an ugly thing to see. So, like you said, it's probably better over there because the line is going to be at least somewhat better. But with Kelsey out, I don't know what's going to happen there. But
I forget the guy's name, but they kind of had an heir apparent behind him anyway. Mm-hmm. So I mean, they're going to be okay at center. For the life of me, I can't remember his name offhand now. But
I saw it this morning, but I don't know where I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the line will be fine. Will he be as good as Kelsey? Probably not. I mean, you're talking about a Hall of Famer center, right? So, that being said, I think. Thought I was going to sneeze. But that being said, it's still going to be a good offensive line. May not be quite to the level that it was, but still going to be a good offensive line.
Absolutely.
All right, let's chat about this kickoff game. This proposed deal is it's a hybrid of what the XFL was using. So they've kind of adapted what the XFL was starting to do, incorporated some of their own wrinkles. Of course, this was me telling my wife about it, and she was not understanding what I was talking about at all. But so we'll try and break it down for the viewers this morning and see if I have a little better chance explaining it. First, you're still going to be kicking from the 35. Just now your kickoff line will be on the opposing 40 instead of on the ball, right? So basically what the NFL is trying to do is get rid of high-speed collisions. And so we'll, this way you're already 25 yards further down the field. So you're going to have less of that, speed from running up. The first line of your kick return is going to be on the 35. Now, in both of these cases, you're going to have a foot on this line. No one can move, right? So then the second wave of your kick return, they have to be between the 30 and the 35. Now, they can be positioned wherever they want within this. They also still can't move. So all of these players are actually stuck until a ref lets you go. So the ref will have to, the ball either has to hit the ground or it has to be caught, right? And then the ref will allow all of these people to move. So there's also the wrinkle of your kicker, once he kicks the ball, can't pass the 50. So they already figured out that one of these special teams coaches would have went and found the biggest kicker they've ever seen, and he would have been a free runner. And so they are limiting the kicker to the 50. So you don't have that little option either. So this is where it gets convoluted and a little hard to follow. So where the kicker has to land is between the goal line and the 20. And so basically, if it goes out of bounds, the ball comes out to the 40. If it lands before the target zone, it still comes out to the 40. If it goes through the back of the end zone, the way that most of the kickoffs have been, comes out to the 35. If it lands in the target zone and comes out to the 25. And then they would be doing away with the fair catch rule that they had just put in. And so as soon as one of these guys catch it or it hits the ground, everybody can move. The play is live. The fact that those 3 players can be positioned anywhere in that box, that allows your special teams coach to be able to, run some kind of, allows them to run some schemes where they can kind of overload a side, something like that. Right. So that's kind of where they're trying to make this work. So obviously this is going to increase the amount of returns because last year there was only 22% of kickoffs that were returned. And of course we'll talk about the onside kick as well, but only 5% of those got completed. So, but yeah, what do you guys think of this new rule? I mean, obviously they've been mostly getting rid of the kicking game. So at least this would bring the kicking game back.
Yeah. I feel like they're going to have a ref that just knows the kickoff rules, and that's his only job for the whole game is to come out and organize and arrange this. And you see a lot more kickoff reviews because I just feel like this is one of those things is going to add to some little ticky-tack stuff like, okay, the second line left at this point, or there was somebody not on there. So I think this is one of those maybe you probably wish you had more preseason games to run through this kind of thing because I could see the first 4 or 5 games of this being a mess. But you're going to have a couple teams that jump on this quickly. And I feel like the separation between you'll have some great kickoff return teams who have mastered it and some sloppiness on the other end where people are still have no going on. So it's really early to digest, I guess. But I think you're going to see very quickly if something like this gets adopted, who's ahead of the game, who's spending some time on it, and who thinks, oh, let's just kick off, so I'm not going to worry about it, and is going to lose a significant portion of their game. So I think if they do adopt it, the teams need to jump on it immediately.
Yeah, there is a lot to digest.
It is. I mean, all the different lines, man.
Even looking through it last night, I'm like, I'm educated and I feel like I'm smart. I'm looking just There's a lot going on here. But I think the one thing to Herb's point that I think is going to be good here is those kickers are people's t-shirts as well. The sales are going to go up on those. They're going to go up exponentially because now kickers are going to be much more involved in the game plan than they ever were before. And then on top of that, I think they're going to emphasize a lot more of a skill set and accuracy.
Yep.
It's going to be, not seeing it emphasized before, but now, based on this target zone, we're going to emphasize it even more now because it makes a difference in where that ball ends up on the corresponding play. It's it's not the 25, talk about the 40. We're in a whole different world. And now you're talking about being in field position. A good kicker, a really good one, can kick it from the 40, a field goal. That's the line of demarcation is a lot less blurry now. It's wow. So the kickers have to really be accurate and have a strong skill set, and that's good because they're involved in the game, and they should be. They're important part of the game. People win Super Bowls off of their kicker's foot, so it does make a difference. But now it's going to be emphasized a lot more. So,
well, it makes you wonder. A lot of times your kickoff guy is your field goal kicker, right? Mm-hmm. It makes you wonder now that they have to hit a target on the field if it's going to be more punters, right? Yeah. Because they're the ones that have been trying to, master coffin corners. Not that that's really a thing anymore, but they tend to have more of a skill set for dropping it into a certain spot on the field as opposed to, just bang it out the back of the end zone. Yeah. So
And to that point, I think you're going to see a lot more play calls, on this. Like, hey, on this kick, like number 2, all right, Raymond for this side. All right, number 1, Raymond. You know what I mean? Like just stuff like that. To your point, I think there'll be a lot more strategy on the kickoff. It's not just, hey, go kick it out and let's just move on. Now it's like, hey, we see the way they're lined up. We see how we're lined up. This is what we're going for on this kick,
And that's what I like about it, right? Now, obviously, I liked the original, running, start, go blast somebody. Like I liked that. As a player, I liked that. But this kind of checks all the boxes for the NFL. It keeps people safe because you're not going to have the high-speed collisions. You're 5 yards off the guys, right? And you still get a higher level of, a higher frequency of returns, right? So you're going to see it go from 22% to probably 50% of them get returned, right? Or more. So I like that they are doing some of that. You might also see a lot more breakaways as far as, big returns because everybody's so close to where the guy is receiving the ball, right? So now if somebody breaks contain right away, there's nobody in that second level because everybody's already down the field. So, I mean, you have the potential of some pretty big returns if you can get through that initial lineup.
Yeah.
And then on the special team side, on the return guys, because they have those 3 guys they can move around, it does allow you to have some strategy as a coach.
Yeah, this is crazy. It made me think about the Super Bowl. I think I saw a stat that they had like 13 kickoffs and none of them were returned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if you guys even thought about that. Like, did it matter to you that there was no kickoffs returned? Did it impact anything for you? If it did, then you're gonna hate this rule. But if it didn't, it's like, okay, cool. It doesn't affect anything that I want to see from the game. I think Ray Guy lives. Ray Guy has come back to life in this.
Well, I mean, I think if you like the kickoff, you're gonna like this rule because special teams gets involved again.
Exactly.
I don't like that they were getting away from the third phase of the game. When you think of so many games that were won off of a kickoff, a Devin Hester, right, or a Leon Washington, or any of those kind of guys, or like for the Seahawks Super Bowl beatdown on the Broncos, right? Like coming into that second half, you saw the Broncos come out and they looked like they were like, okay, here we go. We're down, but we got the second half. We're the most highest scoring offense, whatever. And then Percy Harvin runs that one to the house and you watch that entire sideline deflate. If that return game wasn't there, that Super Bowl might've been very different. Might have not been so lopsided. So it's an important piece of the game. So I like that they're trying to get it back into the game because so many games have been swayed on special teams that I don't like that it's gone away.
I agree. I'd rather have it back in the game. I think I didn't notice in the Super Bowl because I've just gotten used to kickoffs getting out of it. So now I'm just like, it doesn't matter anymore. It's basically like somebody scores, let's go to commercial, kickoff, let's go back to commercial. That's what I think of when I think of the kickoffs these days versus here's an actual integral part of the game. So I think it'll be interesting.
There's so many, just gotta kind of go back and find some of those, but there's so many plays been off kickoffs with that big return. It turned everything upside down. Had the fans going, even on your side of the TV set, you were like pumped. It was like kind of unexpected. You didn't think he'd break away, and I don't want to lose that element of it. Hopefully that's not what's going to happen here, but I hope it doesn't happen here. Because that's an important part of this game too. It's part of the excitement. It's part of why fans love the game and those big breakaways. I want somebody cracking heads. I don't really care for that, but it's just this is hope this rule doesn't kill that kind of excitement because we need that as much as possible.
But like under these rules, like does Devin Hester make the Hall of Fame? Like he doesn't, right? Under the current landscape.
Oh, in the current? No, because he wouldn't have even got the opportunities.
Right. So you're talking about a huge, huge thing, the way they've gone. So I like the fact that they're at least trying to move back to that. I want to know what guy
Ray Guy might love it though.
Huh?
Ray Guy might love it though.
Yeah. Well,
this is a punter's game now.
I want to know who proposed this. Like who sat down and thought out like each little part of this and presented it to somebody else who went, yeah, I like that versus because if I was the second person and one of you guys presented, I'd go, what?
I feel like this was probably it was demonstrated like a bunch of times.
It starts with the word. The report starts with the word concussion. That's where it started. Everything else came after that. It started with concussion. You can believe that's where it started from.
No, this was 100% don't get people hurt. But at the same time, like the first person that drew it up on the board, I'm pretty sure the next meeting they're like, so what?
Yeah, that would have been me. Like, hey, I have so many questions.
Yeah, no, and that's why I've run through this on a couple of different shows because it's like I know it's coming, right? Because the XFL did run it, so I would bet money that we see this formation in preseason. Now, whether or not it carries into the regular season, who knows? It'll probably have to do with execution during the preseason on whether or not it carries into the regular season. But I would bet that we're going to see some of this. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to get some of the special teams back in it. And, maybe you do end up with some more explosive returns because of how close everybody is. So, yeah, I don't know. It'll be fun to watch. It's certainly going to be more interesting than how strong the legs are on the kickers now. Where from the 35, they're banging it through the uprights. So, I mean, I don't want it to be the dead play that it is. We'll put it that way.
I agree.
Gotcha.
I agree.
All right. So let's do our commercial break, and then we will do the onside kick rule on the other side.
This is Reggie Jones, owner and founder of Air Sports Academy. Air is based on 4 core principles: heart, education, integrity, resiliency. Air is about developing student athletes physically and mentally through training, mentorship, and effective marketing. We've created a platform and a blueprint for our state to shine in the brightest of lights. I created this program because it was a need for our state. We needed to have the light shine on the student athletes in our region, and now that is happening at an all-time and undeniable rate. We created a lane for the kids in our state to get their college education paid for and set their families up for future success. We created an environment where serious athletes can now come compete fearlessly. We've achieved this through our variety of elite programs. Our 6-month off-season program, where first-year starters or seasoned vets can all come develop. Our 5-on-5 program, which is all about our line. Our youth tackle program, which is the first and only youth tackle team from the state of Washington to ever win a major national championship. Our 7-on-7 program, which is ranked top 10 in the country every year. Our high school 11-on-11 club tackle program, which creates a unique and much-needed opportunity for our kids. Our college prep program, which allows our graduates to come back from college and prepare for the upcoming season. Our track and field program, which creates an opportunity for our young air boys and air girls to continue to get faster. When you're a national program, you receive national respect, which is why when you look at recruiting boards and top player lists from around the country, you'll always find players from Air on those lists. Which is why college coaches from some of the most prestigious schools around the country come into our facility to recruit our players. The Penn State, Alabama, Oregon, Stanford, Florida State, the list goes on. Our players are being recruited, offered, and committing to some of the top schools in the nation. The experience our players and families receive is second to none. We offer a competitive brand of sports at Air. We are the ball. And with that comes great responsibility. Heavy is the head that wears the crown.
All right. Yeah, so I saw your comment in the back there. I do think you might be right there that they want Tiki's number to get surpassed.
Yeah. Now we got to start all over again.
I mean,
the way the running back market is these days, it's going to be tough to do anyway, man. It doesn't seem like anyone's doing long-term plans with running backs anymore. So,
I mean, this is not a. I don't know why Bonds and Sosa comes to mind right now, but it's just I think the best one I can come up with on limited sleep. But if indeed they've done something that we deem as being wrong, and they hold the record on your favorite team with your favorite franchise. I mean, most folks that feel that way definitely want you to try to get, move that negative history out and have somebody positive at the top that you can be proud of. The way Tiki left with all that went on with like I said, with the quitting, which is like, some don't feel that way, but it was something that kind of said, oh, wow, he seemed like he kind of bailed out on us mentally. And then the way he was talking about Eli, I'm like, yo, you don't do that. I don't care what you think about Eli. I don't care if you thought he was a bum. You don't do that kind of stuff, especially being the leader of the team. You don't do that. Yep. So that was just bad. It was bad press to start with. It was bad. It was in-house and got outside of the house on top of that. That made it even doubly worse. So he was at the core of all of that stuff. So like I know some fans want to move that out and bring in some positive history. So I think that might be a small part of why Saquon is getting some of what he's getting. Because like, man, you were the great blue hope or whatever you want to call it. That's what you were. And now we can't use any of that. We can't use those numbers. Some guys can put us saying he's the greatest now because of what he did, but based on what he hasn't done anything to be the greatest of all time on that team. He hasn't been there long enough for that. Idiots. But just a thought.
Speaking of greatest of all time, you got a new quarterback. You got Drew Lock coming to town.
we will use him in the same way you guys used it. Break glass if needed, in case of emergency.
I don't know. I think he could push Daniel Jones.
He should. I would love him to do that. I would love him to be a post-June 1st cut, because the money would be exponential. I looked at the salary cap today. I'm like, ooh, why are we so far at the bottom? I thought we were a little bit better than that. I think that Brian Burns deal that and Singletary, it kind of pushes down a little bit. So in Daniel Jones' case, I think $69 million. Huh?
You guys spent a lot of money there.
Yeah, but I'm good with that. But so $69 million for Daniel Jones if he continues to keep going past June 1st, I guess. If we cut him, I keep hearing his pre or post. I think it's post June 1st. I keep getting mixed up. Either way, though, it'd be down to $47 million that we'd owe him. So I'm pretty sure that's what's going to end up happening to him. So whether he's fully good with his ACL or whatever, I think he's going to be a cut, and Drew Lock is going to get a little bit of action. Of course, along with whoever else comes in through the draft, which I still think may potentially happen. Not quite sure though, but yeah, I'll take Mr. Lock. I'm good with that. It could have been worse. Could have been Jameis.
I mean, he's not terrible. There is that. I mean, he did play some.
Except y'all win games, so.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because he is one of those guys that he's kind of fun to watch, but he's gonna make those mistakes. Like he's gonna throw some picks.
Yeah,
but at least it's entertaining football.
True that. We got to do some work over there, so this is a stopgap. He knows it. We know it. We just see what happens. But
who's the
quarterback in the future? I don't know. Wondering about Joe.
Oh, I don't know that I would go as far as saying he's the quarterback of the future or anything crazy like that. But I think I think he could do what Daniel Jones has done.
God, I hope so.
Right?
I hope so. Oh man, horrible. But, yeah. But we'll see what.
Good stuff. All right, let's talk about this onside kick rule. So basically, it's going to be where you kick from now. Actually, I put the X's on the wrong line there, but I just didn't go back and change it. But so they're still going to be lined up with your kicker. But what they are going to do is they're going to make it so that you can overload a side again. So you can run a 6-4 front. Because onside kicks only made it about 5% of the time last year, this should enable them to a little bit better luck. The only thing that's kind of terrible about this rule is because of the other kick rule they're trying to implement at the same time, you have to declare that you're doing an onside kick, right? So there will be no more surprise onside kicks. And then you're only allowed to do an onside kick if you are behind in the fourth quarter. So I'm not a big fan of that. Now, obviously, if there's no surprise, you're probably not doing it really any other time. I think they should allow you to do it at the end of the second quarter, though, before halftime. Like, if you're getting the breaks beat off you, right, give yourself a chance to try and get that ball back. Maybe in the last 7 minutes or something of the second quarter, maybe you could do it as well. I would imagine these rules are going to be, kind of soft at first as they try and figure out how to make these kind of best case scenario for the league. But as it sits right now, it would be just if you are behind in the fourth quarter. So I'm not a huge fan of that. But those surprise onside kicks that Pat McAfee used to do, that would be a thing of the past. Never happen again.
Yeah. Or like in the Super Bowl with the Saints. Like that's
Exactly.
You're taking a big part of history out, by doing something like that. And then I like, what you're kind of saying. I'd even expand. I mean, if I'm getting the breaks beat off me in the third quarter, you're going to tell me I have to wait and maybe get the beat off a little bit more before in the fourth I try any kind of, it's just like, I don't know, when you're losing, especially by a significant margin, all rules should be out the window. Like, what do you have to do to try to get back in this? And even if
that's the thing is, if you got to declare anyway, it's no different than kicking a field goal or a 2-point conversion. Like you got to declare at the time, right? Yeah. So why not just do that at any point in the game?
Yeah.
I mean, it's already a low percentage play, right. But if you could do it at any point in the game, I actually think you would see more of the onside kicks, because if you kick it in any of the wrong areas, it comes out to the 40 half the time anyway, right? So what, you're going to give up maybe another 5-10 yards trying onside kicks? So, I mean, you would actually probably see a lot more attempts at onside kicks.
Yeah.
Which could be entertaining too.
Wow. I don't know. I didn't like that part of it. So, and it's not even a big part now, I guess, because of the way the kicking game goes, but I like it to still be in your back pocket, especially if you're behind. There's not a lot of teams that are up big that are kicking onside kicks anyway. So you're only penalizing kind of your possible competitiveness of the game. And half the times, like you say, if you're getting the breaks beat off you anyway, if I kick an onside kick and fail, I'm just making it quicker that the other team's going to score anyway, versus making them drag out this next drive. They'll just go quickly and we'll get the ball back anyway. So I don't know. It's like a minor thing, but a major thing at the same time.
I was talking to Coach Bono about it yesterday, and he brought up an interesting point about it, because he was asking what the implications would be on a penalty, right? Like, how does that move players around, right? Because if it was a kicking team penalty, does that move that line back? So it gives these guys more running room. I mean, and that I didn't find anything that really explicitly outlined how penalties would affect it, or would it just affect it once you get the ball, then it goes from that spot. But then if there's a penalty on that kicking play, then what, you get 2 penalties that get enforced? I don't know. It's
they just give you 3 points and just move on. They just say, here's a field goal.
So there's definitely some questions about how these would really get rolled out. And I don't know if they necessarily have it all worked out, really. I mean,
doesn't seem to be that way.
I would imagine the first, through the preseason, it's probably going to be a lot of question marks. It would be my guess. Yeah. But so, that's more or less the proposed kicking game changes. I do think we'll probably see some of it in the preseason. Whether or not that carries into the regular season, that I don't know. So like, parts of it I like, parts of it I definitely don't. Like the onside kick portion of it, I don't love, other than them allowing you to overload a side again. But the kickoff part of it, I kind of like, just because I want to see guys return balls again.
Yeah, agreed.
Same.
All right, let's talk about your coach. Ex-coach.
You hurt me, man. Why?
There we go.
Oh.
So we got Saban's comments, right? Let's see. We got another soundbite for. Oh, I had another soundbite. There we go.
All the things that I believed in for all these years, 50 years of coaching, no longer exist in college athletics. So it's always was about developing players. It was always about helping people be more successful in life. My wife even said to me, we'd have all the recruits over on Sunday with their parents for breakfast. And she would always meet with the mothers and talk about how she was going to help and impact their sons and how they would be well taken care of. And she came to me, like right before I retired and said, why are we doing this? And I said, what do you mean? She said, all they care about is how much you're going to pay them. They don't care about how you're going to develop them, which is all what we've always done. So why are we doing this? All the things that
and it's funny because there's been a lot of backlash, right, for some of his comments. A lot of people are like, you've made a ton of money on the backs of these kids and all of that. And I feel like they're kind of missing his point.
Yeah.
I think that it's more about a mindset that he's talking about, as opposed to, I don't think kids should earn money, right? Like, I don't think that's really where he was going with that. I think it's more of a, they don't have the mindset of getting better and, being coached up and all of that. So I think it's more of that mindset change than anything else. And of course, you have the comments here, after the Rose Bowl loss, what assurances that I'm going to play, how much are you going to pay me? And he's saying that his style of coaching, maybe it doesn't work anymore. And that, not that it's bad, right, that they want to get paid. So it's not, I don't know. Like, I get that the players want to get paid. I feel like they should get paid.
Right.
No question. I mean, it's professional sports, has been forever. But at the same time, I get what he's saying, just mindset. The kids aren't necessarily trying to get better. And some of them maybe understand the fact that they're not moving on to the next level and they want to get paid today, which also makes a ton of sense.
I think that's the biggest thing, is what you said there, is the mindset is now, it used to be, let me go here, we got to be in for 3 years anyway, and let me try to get my shot at the NFL, versus how much money can I make tomorrow, and hopefully this team that's about to pay me a lot will also get me to the NFL. But I just think it's a short-term view versus a long-term view with a lot of them. And I think specifically to what he's saying, like we happen to know several players that were approached after the Rose Bowl, and a couple actually ended up transferring. So people are already, kind of treating it like a free agent market and just saying, hey, how much money can I throw at you to get you to go? And so I think that's all he meant. It's funny that the backlash is coming from people who probably agree with a lot of that when they see the player movement, they see them just going for the dollar. So no, I mean, do I understand you chasing the money? Yes. But your mindset of, I'm just going to transfer and get more money each year is just not going to serve you well in the long term. And I think that's part of what he's getting at there.
I mean, I do think it actually hurts your chances to get to the NFL if you're moving around like that, because you're just not going to amass stats, right? Yeah. I mean, you're going to be bouncing around. Now, maybe your NIL does work out for you and you get paid well, but I do think it probably hurts you long term. Not so much for the elite people, right? Those guys are mostly staying on the same team anyway.
Right.
It's going to be those kind of bubble guys, those fringe guys that maybe a late round or an undrafted free agent kind of level of player. If they're bouncing around trying to get playing time, which on its face sounds good, but if you're transferring a bunch of times, you're going to have just some really disjointed film, and you're probably not going to put up stats that you would have had you stayed somewhere, because you're going to be in a different system all the time. You're not going to have the chemistry with the team. Do you get some money today? Sure. Does it potentially, cripple your ability to get it later? It could.
Yeah. And that's what I said. Plus, you're also giving like 19 to 20-year-olds, millions of dollars. And you're thinking, hey, if you do mess up your NFL shot, like, you're not going to have any of that money. I mean, I'm sorry. Yep. Me at 46 is terrible with money. I don't know about 19 to 20. Like, that's not getting me through the year. So,
yeah. No, I'd have done dumb stuff too. I would not have been smart with that kind of cash.
I'm feeling it, man. I'm feeling what Coach Saban is talking about. It's like I'm an advocate, like you are, that the players should get played. I mean, NCAA been rocking their image and likeness for a long time.
Right.
I can't tell how much money they've been making off it. Like, it's kind of hard to even fathom the amount of
EA
dollars
Sports
that
alone.
they got. Yeah, I know it's been going on, but my feelings about the NIL, you kind of know how I feel about it. I feel like it's kind of a revolving door, but not in a good way.
Right.
It could be used for good, but it has to have some kind of limitations on it. And right now, it doesn't seem to really have that. A lot of constant movement, and of course, like you guys both stated, lack of growth. I mean, in the basic sense, a plant can't produce any fruits if you keep on moving it and uprooting it. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to end up dying. And that's kind of what's happening with this. We got babies with bankrolls right now, just giving these kids money, and they bounce it around, and they don't know what it means to have loyalty. Don't mean to have adversity in life and overcome it. It's going to happen in the NFL. It'd be good for you to be prepared for it before that happens. Like
Well, I mean, on the loyalty end of it, that's where some of the argument has come up. Is the coaches can leave whenever they want, right? So it's not like there's loyalty there. If they got a NFL job offered to them, they're out, right? So, and then once you get to the NFL, there's no loyalty from the team side.
Okay.
Right. They're going to pay you as little as they can. And if they got to move you, they will. So some of the outrage for it is they want the player to be loyal, but they don't, when it comes to the business or when it comes to the team side, it's business. Right.
I ain't against that, but hopefully I'm not, seeing anything out of turn here, but it's like if a coach, say for instance, what's the guy's name? Lane Kiffin. Let's use him as an example. Say he went to Alabama, right?
Sure.
Stayed there for 3 games. Went to Michigan for about 6 games. Then went back to UCLA. How would you feel about him as a coach, as a person, character-wise? You probably wouldn't like that. So I'm just talking about, players bouncing around when it suits them.
Yeah.
I'm with you there.
Looking for the easiest path to quote unquote the top. Because some players, not all of them, but maybe the fringe guys you were talking about earlier, Bo, maybe that's what they're doing, trying to find the easiest path to the top. There's a couple of guys proven from Michigan. I'm going to be real about it. I'm go blue all day long. However, these 2 guys that were on the team, they were all go blue, saying the same thing we're saying about Saquon. Go blue all day long. That's Cade McNamara and Eric All. Eric All didn't. I'm gonna leave my Eric All. I can't validate that. But McNamara, he was that dude. Go blue all day. Blah 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 blah. When he had competition at Michigan for his spot, and even lost his spot based on the play on the field, he tried to find the easiest way out. So he went to Iowa because the road to a starting job was easier than the one where he was at. That's not the same thing to me as what we're talking about.
Yeah.
I don't feel like you can do that and still maintain your integrity and present yourself as if you are being quote unquote loyal. You know what I'm saying? Now he's over there and now he may not have his starting job.
Sure.
So it's like it doesn't always work out well for you. So I don't like the idea that you could have that kind of freedom to keep doing that at least without limits. Because he could do it again and again and again and move somewhere else and move to 6 more teams. You can go to Rutgers and Indiana and everywhere without any kind of a limitation. That's my problem with it. But hope that makes sense. That's all we're trying to say.
No. And I'm with you there. And something we've touched on before is I don't love the timing of it, right? Because the portal opens multiple times. Yep. So you can move before the spring games, you can move after the spring games, you can move in the first part of the season. Right. So, I mean, you can move around. I forget who it was, but a player did move around a couple of times in the same season. And so, I mean, it's just, I don't love that. Like at some point, I feel like you have to be locked in for at least that year, right? Like, okay, so maybe it opens again after the spring game, right? Like, okay, sure, right? Because that's still far enough ahead that you still have, preseason and, some sort of OTAs and stuff like that, right? So if you did have some transfers, you could get them up to speed for getting into the season. But the fact that you can transfer once the season starts, that's wild to me. Because, I mean, as a coach, I can't imagine once the season gets going, you still have to recruit your own players. Like I don't love the look of that. Right. So I feel like once you get into, preseason type stuff, that should be it. You should be on that team.
Yeah. And to your point, like with people say about the coaches, like I'm sure there's somebody who'll have an example, but I'm hard pressed to imagine a coach or remember a coach that 4 games into his season said, all right, I'm accepting a job somewhere else. You know, like at least they're trying to figure out the season. And most of the times, if you're a coach and you're going for the job, it's definitely a promotion versus I just want to find an easier way to get to wherever I want to get to. You know, you're at least usually trying to jump up. But like you said, to that point, there's plenty of players who go ahead and take their NIL deals and take the money for the whole year. And then 4 games in, they've lost their starting job. I think like a Kelly Bryant and say, okay, I'm going to enter the portal. You know, maybe I'm not in the portal right now technically, but I'm entering the portal as soon as I'm done with this team 4 games in. The coaches aren't doing that, you know? So it's like they're trying to, they use that as one of their arguments. We're trying to mirror the coaches being able to move, but the players have way more, you know.
Well, and the thing with the coaches is they have the ability to move, but they don't. Like once the season gets going, unless they get fired, they're locked in. They're trying to win. Yeah. So that's a big difference. And of course, you know, Rodg, this is exactly what we were talking about. Like moving around definitely can stunt your growth because you know you're going to be constantly learning new systems. There's no guarantee that you're going to be the starter wherever you're going anyway. And then even as the team of the one, you know, the team that's adding that player, right?
So what Saban said, I think it hits me in a bit of a deeper way because I know I mentioned my grandson on the show, and I think he wasn't listening before, but now he heard his name involved in it, so now he's. We'll see if I'm talking about him, but you know, but seriously though, he's playing middle school football, right? Okay, and venturing into high school football at some point pretty soon, right? And what I'm watching is what I'm concerned about. What I'm seeing is different than when it was when I was his age. It's different. I can tell you all the ways, but we had that kind of time. But it's different. The mentality is different. Guys want easy paths to starting jobs at his age. Guys think that they're gonna go to the NFL and be like Shador, and that's just what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a cakewalk to the NFL. They ain't got to do no real work. All they got to do is just kind of do the bare minimum, and they can be, you know, a Colorado Buffalo and even a Baltimore Raven and so on and so forth. And my grandson's one of them. They think like that. I don't know who's teaching them. It's not me. I don't know if it's YouTube, but they learning this stuff and they thinking that way. And these guys that we're talking about right now, they come from that same era.
Sure.
They in that same little millennial whatever mindset, and that's how they think. And they think, you know what? I deserve this. I'm entitled to have this. I had a hard life. I should have an NFL contract. So I can buy my mama a house. But they don't work. But they don't have the kind of work ethic that matches what they don't have the kind of character that matches what they say they want. They got a $10 mindset, $10 hour mindset, but they want $30 million a year. It's like it doesn't line up. So what Saban's talking about is true. If you don't, and Rod mentioned it as well, you got to develop these guys. Yeah. If you don't want to be developed, I don't know where you're going to go. We're going to have real success because you're going to be developed in the NFL. Either develop yourself out of the league, or you're going to be in Canada, or you ain't playing at all. You can be serving food somewhere instead of, you know, living your football dream out. So it's like there's so much problem with that concept. It's sad to me that Saban had to even say that, and his wife too had to even say that. And I feel like we ain't got time, but college coaches, man, I feel for them, especially the ones in his age bracket that have seen so much success by developing players and guys that are wearing gold jackets that harking back to these days when they learn from guys like Saban, and they say it's because of that I'm where I am. Now what they're going to say?
Yeah, if you pick your program just based on the money and not based on the development, it's just not going to help you in the long run. You know, and the money that all of these guys are throwing at each other is probably so close. But if you're like, this guy offered me 1.2 and this one did 1.3, so I'm going to 1.3. Just trust me, in the long run, that was not. That's just, it's not going to be that big. So,
oh man. Gosh, I hope that's not true, brother.
That is hilarious.
That's not true.
What about called the Herbert Rodg podcast with no Rodg?
See, then it just becomes
man. They got a guy in wrestling that when the guy's not there, they have a cardboard cutout and they walk around with him every day and speak to him. So you got options, but I just hope that's not what's happening here. Come on, man. Rodg.
Let everybody know where they can find you.
Twitter, Herb and Rodg, or Rodg Herb, or the Herb and Rodg podcast on Yahoo. On YouTube, excuse me. Good Lord.
Yahoo.
Yeah.
Wow.
At Big Coming
AOL, here we go.
Yes. We'll fire up my Hotmail.
Twitter. That's my guys. You're fine. We follow them and you're fine. Whatever.
All right. And if you're watching here on Roku, be sure to tune in to Coast. We have the West Texas Arena League quarterback coming on for an interview in the second hour. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy, guys.